في الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Alhamdulillah. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this blessed opportunity again. MashaAllah, all the brothers here, and hopefully those listening on the internet, they are familiar with this madrasa. It is a gathering of MURAQBA, where we normally individually, well, firstly, inshallah, we start with leaders with the protection of scars and the beginning of scars. And then as per normal, for about 15 minutes or so, we'll do individual cleansing of the thighs and then transfer. And those start will mention if there's any specific places we should have in mind. Otherwise, one's normal journey or wherever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to the Sira of our Mashayikh take us, inshallah. And then most importantly, again and again we emphasize this, is actually when the MURAQBA finishes and the mic is actually passed to yourself to actually give some feedback. Because I've been seeing recently sometimes I pass the mic to somebody and they just nod their heads. And some have been just nodding their heads for the last 2 months to my knowledge. And if they keep on nodding their heads, they might be nodding their heads for the next 2 years as well. So this is the opportunity we have. Whatever, you must be experiencing something. Either you're experiencing nothing, which you need to address, mention to the stars so we can be advised. Otherwise, whatever you are experiencing, thought level, imagination, whatever it is, please mention. Because things, when they mentioned, advice can be given. If a person is just silent, then maybe he might be stuck in a particular point for the last 6 months. And I've actually seen it practically happen when one person, he was reluctant, but when he actually mentioned, one of those stars, and even our blessed teacher many times have advised these people, and it's really opened a new avenue for them. So do take advantage of the opportunity at the end, inshallah. So when the mic is given to you, then mention your name and which town are you from, where you're from basically, and then inshallah mention what you need to mention. Jazakallah.
All praise be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Lord of the universe, and may His infinite peace, mercy and blessings be upon His beloved Prophet and Messenger, Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and upon His beloved family, upon His beloved companions, and all those who follow Him until Yawm al-Qiyamah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Again, another week has passed, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us again to be here on a Thursday evening, Thursday night, and to participate in the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala collectively. The format of the session is, everyone is aware that it is more a spiritual journey, a spiritual practice which we do. So everyone here, I believe, is aware how to do the spiritual practice, i.e. the MURAQBA, the lataif, the preparation and the lataif practices, holistic one at the beginning, then the 7 individual ones, then again the charging of all the lataif, and then dissipating and having spiritual body, and then transfer and find the teacher, inshallah. So for that first aspect of the lataif practices, inshallah, we'll spend about 10 to 15 minutes at the beginning. And then after that, once we transferred and find the teacher and travel, inshallah, then let yourself flow and carry on. Obviously, in this blessed month, especially attributed to Sayyidina Shaykh Abdul Qadir al-Jilani as well, rahimahullah, that one could visit that, first of all, find the teacher, travel, then go to Fars Sharif and meet Shaykh Sayyidina Abdul Aziz al-Bagh. Then from there, we can go to other muqams as well. Finally, also you can visit the Muqam of Sheikh Sayyidina Abdul Qadir al-Jilani in Baghdad in Iraq currently now, inshallah, and see if there's any advice, any guidance is given to enlighten us and to benefit. And like our dear brother Haji Gulfam has mentioned, that normally in a Thursday gathering where the teacher is here or other ustads, they used to deliver a talk. So this Thursday talk wasn't a same or at the same level of knowledge which is delivered as a Monday one. Remember, there's a format our mashayikh, how they do is Monday one is a generic for everyone. Anyone can come off the street and sit down and listen and able to understand, because it is delivered at that level. So there's no complication, there's no any complex ideas or very advanced theories or teachings mentioned. It's very simple on a Monday gathering that anyone who comes from the street, they're able to understand, they're able to remember, and also motivate them to become more closer to Deen. Then people who are serious now, who are now traversing the path of tazkiyah and traversing the path of the spirituality and so on, the Thursday morning or Thursday evening majlis which takes place is specifically or primarily for the seeker. So like for the last, let's say, almost 20 years or more, that our teacher Hazrat Shaykh Ahmad Dabbagh is to deliver, and this is to take place on a Thursday morning every week. Before, in the winter times, before Fajr and Tahajjud time, and obviously in the summer, then at Fajr time. So there they've imparted many precious jewels and guidances in terms of the seeker as you travel along the path. There are many pitfalls, many issues, many problems that one faces, a seeker face, and then how do you deal with it. So the guidance is given specifically for that, so that anything that's been on blockage or been blockage to yourself, you come unstuck, then there become means to actually unblocking and then continue with your journey. So now, alhamdulillah, that we practice spiritual practices and spiritual muraqabah, and many brothers are, mashallah, in fact all of us here, to receive guidances and so on. So the form, the kind of benefit is still the same, be it more on a spiritual level and more personalized, seeker oriented. So what do I mean by that is that everyone now spiritually traveling. So if someone is now struggling, like Brother Gulfam has mentioned, that maybe there's some blockages that we've not worked on. So coming to the gathering like this, and the blessing of the Mashayikh present, and the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the affairs of the prophetic affairs is also present, and the collective gathering of the fellow brothers and sisters, that we get that spiritual support, and then we can traverse the extra mile, so to speak, which normally we could not. Secondly, if there's any misconceptions or any wrong ideas or a wrong conception, like Brother Gulfam was mentioning, that maybe some of us are coming for months or years, and yet that we've not really opened up, related our things, our issues to the teacher, to the sheikh, to those who are representing or standing in for that purpose. And then only maybe through one-to-one discussion it gets revealed that this person had this kind of issues, and then needed unblocking or removing that obstacle that he or she had. So that's also support is there at the one-to-one level as well as collectively. Also, we get motivation by listening to someone else, a guidance which is given, which is beneficial for the person who's relating and general practice, the participants, be it online or especially who are physically present as well. And finally, that you also get some advice or guidance or some inspiration, and that so this is related and relayed, so that the correct understanding is received. A plan of action is given so that we can go away, and for the next week until next Thursday, for example, that we have a plan. If you're doing well, alhamdulillah, more or less, then we do shukr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, continue and traverse. But if there's any obstacles, difficulties that we faced in the previous week, then we can have a plan to work on it, so that coming week becomes much better than the week that have just passed. So you can see the benefit and the coming and the gathering is still the same, but it's become more like in people who teach, they more become student-centered, so that students are relaying experience, they're benefiting, and they're setting the course of action, and the teacher and the mashayikh there to supporting you along. So you should be more motivated that normally in any discourse of the mashayikh, when they speak and they deliver discourse, they actually speak into the individuals anyway. But here it's become more, I could say, intense, that you're receiving the experience or guidance or whatever it is, and then this is then explained and expounded further for the individuals to take away and then work on, inshallah. So that's why the feedback session is very crucial and it's part of the gathering. I know you have a tendency that we've done the MURAQBA, let's go home now. It's like a tick box exercise, we've done it, let's go next. But rather, avail the opportunity, do participate, share, or at least listen to our brothers or sisters relay and what answers are given or attempt is made to give an answer. And then maybe also we can relate to and learn lesson from for our own selves. Even like Brother Gulfawi is saying that we don't relate, then we still benefit from hearing others as well, inshallah, and seeing the feedback, and so we get the motivation that way as well. So there are many. So for example, if you look at the what Brother Gulfam sent a message on the reminder every week on the poster, you can see the purpose is mentioned here. I know it's in small print. Maybe the print could be bigger for next time as well. So if you look at it, it actually mentions at least 3 purposes why a seeker should come to this, especially to Thursday. So Thursday is really specifically for the seeker on the path of truth, on the path to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They must attend. So from the tariq point of view, it's a must. And the Monday one is like you should come, but you should bring others along as well, for completely new who are not into deen as well, invite and do dawah as well. And then the third one is also mentioned as well. The third gathering is for the seeker like myself. We are trying, and like yourselves as well, we are all in it together, is that it is a one-to-one meeting we do. So there we specifically can be addressed what the issues are, what the next stage and so on and so forth, inshallah. So remember, I'm sitting here just as you could say, fulfilling a duty as such, but you're all brothers. Don't think about, I'm something, or this is some satya, or maybe he's an ustad, whatever. Yeah, if you really want to consider, there's only one. That's our teacher who's our living sheikh. There's no one else. That's only one in this life. And we have a ta'alluq connection to our mashayikh, which is Sayyidina Abdul Aziz Dabbagh. He's the sabr from the barzakh, from the unseen world. Then there are other mashayikh as well, but primarily is Sayyidina Abdul Aziz Dabbagh. And in this current time, in this era now, as we're living, we are blessed to live in the same time, is the teacher, Hazrat Shaykh Ahmed Dabbagh. So he's our reference point. Anyone else or everyone else who's actually along that path, they're just helping ourselves and the people at large as well. So we should never lose that kind of concept as well. That keep that in mind. Because remember, it is said that if you don't thank the creation, then you will never thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is a saying. So likewise, if you do not understand this very basic and most fundamental concept, i.e. the role of the teacher, who they are and what they do, and all the mashayikh as well, then we're not even thanking at the basic level, which is the most fundamental in comes to tariq, when it comes to the path to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you should always keep that in mind, inshallah. And then alhamdulillah, we have ustads, we have mentors who are helping along the way, and we should seek advice. But know that the only person in this path here, living sheikh, is Hazrat Shaykh Ahmed Dabbagh, and everyone that's their sheikh. In every retreat you see that we brothers do, our ustad do presentation, they mention that the spiritual support and the fairs and everything else is coming from there. And everyone else is a supportive role they're playing, whatever extent they can do. That's all, inshallah. So that's why we emphasize when we do transfer, who do we mention? As soon as you transfer, you should find the sheikh, that is Hazrat Shaykh Ahmed Dabbagh. Because that's where I could say the line of blessing which is coming to us. And for us, that's the first and the last as well, in that sense, inshallah. Okay, so inshallah, briefly summarize the lataif, transfer, find the teacher, go to, obviously after that, as a mark of respect and honor and homage to Sayyidina Abdul Aziz Dabbagh, then inshallah to Sayyidina Abdul Qadir Jilani and all the mashayikh and wherever you go, inshallah. Do not limit yourself, or we've been instructed. I've just given an indication because of the month of Rabi San is going through and so on. But whatever you naturally carry on going, then carry on, inshallah. And don't hold yourself back in that regard, inshallah. And then after we'll take feedback and then we'll conclude, inshallah. Jazakallah for that. So can we just turn the light off as well, inshallah. Good. So inshallah, as we're just getting ready, everyone should now close our eyes. and just have the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Allah is with me, Allah is seeing me, Allah is hearing me. So to have the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is most important, and to rectify our niyyah, our intention, which is only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for His sake. So start with the protection adhkars. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا صراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض من ذا الذي يشفع عنده إلا بإذنه يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم ولا يحيطون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض ولا يؤوده حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الواحد الله الصمد لم يلد بسم الله الرحمن قل أعوذ برب الناس مالك الناس إله الناس شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس الله الله الصمد أعوذ برب الفلق أعوذ برب الناس مالك إله الناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس اللهم أحد الله الصمد لم يلد بسم الله رب الناس مالك إله الناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أستغفر الله وأتوب إليك أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم وأتوب إليه أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم وأتوب إليه أستغفر الله إن الله غفور رحيم اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وصحابه وسلم. اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وصحابه وسلم. السلام عليك أيها النبي، السلام عليك أيها النبي، السلام عليك أيها النبي، السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله، 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 حول ولا قوة إلا بالله، لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. لا إله إلا الله، 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 محمد رسول الله. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليك أيها النبي السلام عليك أيها النبي السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وسلم اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وسلم سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك الحمد لله.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So after the transfer, it was as though we was in Oldham Zawiya. Sorry, my name's Umair and I'm from Bolton. So after the transfer, it was as though we was in Oldham Zawiya. And after I transferred, it was as though the Hasab was stood and I was opposite them. So I went in for a hug. It was like a spontaneous sort of hug, and they took one step back. So after that they mentioned that you go to the fourth heaven and calls so many angels down. So I went up to the fourth heaven, called so many angels, and then came back down. And there was, you're coming in sort of your dribs and your drabs. So Hasab then mentioned that, what are you doing? Why are you here? I told you to go call them. So I went up and then I put on a more stern voice and you called them, and then they came. And then it was as though the Hasab's main sort of your body was here in Oldham Zawiya. And then one sort of part of them, they mentioned that go to Sayyidina Abdul Aziz the Bagh rahmatullah. So as soon as we went to Sayyidina Abdul Aziz the Bagh rahmatullah in the Mazar, they said go. So I was sort of dumbfounded at that point, and they said go. What are you doing here? And then from there they go to Sayyidina Abdus Islam bin Mashish rahmatullah. So at that point it was as though that Hasab in Oldham was saying that each sort of your reflection of the Mashayikh know if to do test that person or praise that person or or whatever, yeah, just through the reflection of the mashayikh that is, yeah, with the person at the moment. So after we went to Sayyidina Abdul's Islam bin Mashish, we came back to yeah, Fairs after just giving Islam and yeah, just being there. And then we went back to Fairs, and then from there they said that go into the streets. What are you doing here? So we was so I would just walking the streets and sort of head down and everything. And when people were, it was like they was sort of shocked to see her sub and to see myself. So they was asking that who are you and where you come from. So yes, I told them my name, and then they asked that what sort of your relationship do you have. So I appointed to Sayyidina Abdulaziz the Bag, rahmatullahi, and then basically herds of your people were going to them, and then as I mentioned that it's time to go back. So we went back, and then they said that that it was only a test, and now you're ready and we can take you to Sayyidina Abdul Qadir al-Jilani rahmatullahi. So after that happened and we went to Sayyidina Abdul Qadir al-Jilani rahmatullahi, it was as though there was sort of it was as though I was really close to them, sort of it was all like face to face, and they were sort of shouting and shouting. I'm not too sure what they were saying. And then they mentioned that go over there in that corner, get stones and count these stones. It was like a massive sort of sack of stones. So while I was doing that, there was 4 or 5 other brothers there that was also doing that, but these brothers had smiled on their faces while they was doing it. So I was dumbfounded again, thinking that why they've got smiles on their faces, they're in a corner and they're just they're throwing stones into a sack. And then from there it was as though that we went to Medina Sharif. And while I was in Medina Sharif, the Prophet ﷺ was mentioning something about your tests, that these are only your tests, and the more tests a person goes through, the better it is for them. Then when we came back to, then it was as though that we sort of just came back to Oldham Zawiya, and we was in it was like an office space, and Hassan was showing me a graph. And they mentioned that this has been your journey. There's spikes in the journey. There's troughs in the journey, but it's starting to go upwards now. And again, these was only tests. Then we went back to the Mazar of Sayyidina Abdulaziz the Bagh, and they was happy and they were just smiling. And now it was as though there was a different sort of a different spiritual aspect of Hasab that was there, and from that the Mashayikh then knew that this person that how to treat the seeker. And then from there, Sayyidina Abdulaziz the Bagh was mentioning about your tests and your different your things about the spiritual your world and the Ahl Diwan, and then from there went to Sayyidina Abdul Qadir al-Jilani rahmatullah, and they was mentioning something, but I've ended up forgetting. And then we went to the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and there was showing various different things, and then from there went back to Oldham where Hasab was, and then it was like it was a more sort of advanced sort of lesson that they were sort of giving, and again went back to Sayyidina Abdul Aziz the Bagh, and again more advanced. We went to Sayyidina Abdul Qadir al-Jilani rahmatullah, more advanced, and to the nearest meaning they mentioned that that person has to sort of go through these tests, and when you think that the teacher's not with you, then it's a sort of the presence becomes more hollow and more hollow, and it's at that time where you need the teacher the most, and the more you think about them, the more solid the figure comes. It's like pouring water into a cup. All you have to do is pour with your thoughts, and then it becomes you're more solid, and they do all the work. And then it was as though I was sort of in and out, and then Ustad Shalom's they started to do the actual Durud Sharif, and then we transferred.
MashaAllah, very detailed we went through. Some of the gist of it is that, like you know, that what glimpses I've shown you is different mashayikh. Sometimes they have different nature. Some are more like gentle in nature. Some are more like they have a certain presence in front of them, and how they train the students as well. What you've been shown is that when you're actually in presence of different mashayikh, how giving a glimpse of how mashayikh would actually, those shaykh actually would train their own students in a certain way. And yourself, you are bewildered, or you are kind of in a state of shock, like how come I was given this task, or how come I'm doing this. But it's shown that when the mashayikh of the different of the past, when they actually train students, sometimes it seems outwardly they're actually being harsh to them, or doing such task which has no apparent benefit or apparent a purpose behind it. And in fact, that in itself is a purpose. So you saw the glimpse of that. There's the shaykh, when the mashayikh is to train them on their murideen and their students, is that none of them, the true murideen, would ever question the shaykh that why this task is done or been given to me to do. Even the state of shock which you're mentioning is a lesson for yourself, that they would not be in shock. So in collecting stones or counting stones or whatever, because in our day and age, we are very much goal-oriented. Everything we do, we have to see like a benefit at the end. So our mashayikh, although they do tarbiyah of people by giving duties, so for example, the admin duty or the dawah, whatever else, it is as though equivalent to, you could say, when the mashayikh of the past used to say, could go and look after, be a stable person, look after the horses, or look after the cow, or look after the field. And sometimes there is no direct link. Why am I doing this? I'm here for tazkiyah and purification and closeness, yet I'm just farming for years and years, or looking after the flock of sheep and so on. So in this day and age, that even our mashayikh and our teachers so compassionate, they're giving you direct task which seems that you are benefiting yourself, or you're contributing to something, i.e. work of dawah, writing something, or doing something website or media, whatever else. But yet this is your level of tarbiyah is getting done. So in the mashayikh of the past, sometimes they used to give to the students, and it's something completely unrelated. If they apply the logic, it doesn't make sense. Or why am I doing this? What's the purpose of this? But the lesson here, that whatever is given to you, you shouldn't question or be amazed or shocked or trying to think, what do I get out of it? You just carry on with the task, and whatever blessing you'll receive, or the teaching you'll receive after, or whatever training you receive through this. So that's one lesson for yourself, that whatever task is given to you in terms of your personal benefit, in terms of tazkiyah, obviously, and tarbiyah and anything else, you should just pursue and go ahead with it without questioning or thinking twice. And like calling and so on, that's an indication of dawah. So for example, the people you're calling, you should have a good opinion that they're actually of ummati of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we should think as part of our training, they're like the angels. should have good opinion. One of the good qualities of a person who's mature, he generally has a good opinion of people as well. Even if they say anything wrong in front of them, they kind of makes excuses for them and say, no, he's a Muslim, he's got iman, and so on. Even the sheikh, if they meet normal people outside in the world, they might have 99 bad things and one good thing. They'll just focus on the one good thing as well. Only when a person comes and accepts as a sheikh and he becomes a student or a murid of a sheikh, then the matter is opposite. Because he comes for tarbiyah, you come for training. So he will not look at the 19 good things you have. He will say, no, you have this one fault you have to work on. So the matter is upside down when it comes to that kind of relationship. But on a general level, they have a good opinion. So likewise, when you're doing dawah, don't think as though I'm doing some kind of special, I'm a special person, or Allah, and I'm doing the dawah work, bringing people in. From far as you're concerned, you're doing a service or a duty, but the people you bring in, you don't know who they are. Maybe they all come, 5 years, 10 years after you, but they might become so serious and so sincere and so loyal that they can traverse the course and benefit, and they might even reach higher status than you. They might become a pious servant to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You don't know that potential that person has. So you should do a dawah in a sense that really you're doing dawah to yourself and benefiting yourself as not to someone else. And the stern lesson is given to yourself that you should be also analyze yourself personally, what jobs you're meant to be doing, your personal journey, as well as the role which is given to yourself. Do mashwara, analyze, introspect. Are we doing as we're meant to do, or is it like shortcomings, or what can I do to improve? There's always room for improvement as well. So these are some of the gist of it that you should ponder and think about, inshallah. Obviously there are many other things as well you mentioned. So we need to hear other people. So just this is sufficient for now, inshallah, for yourself. Okay.
So Majid from Nelson. As soon as we started the cleansing process, I found Hazrat Sahib calling me, and I was a bit reluctant to go because I was thinking I hadn't done the cleansing process, but I just followed the instructions and transferred straight away, and they said whatever issues one has at home or in their tazkiyah process, they should just take one day at a time and focus on each objective and fulfill that objective, and the days will soon turn into weeks, and then the weeks will then turn into months. We then went to the Mazar of Sayyidina Abdul Aziz al-Dabagh rahimahullah ta'ala, and he gave me to see that one can only be truly assessed by asking their partner what they think of them, because that's
one can be, sorry, just said that part, what did you say? I didn't hear it. One can be what?
We went to the Mazar of Sayyidina Abdul Aziz al-Dabagh rahimahullah ta'ala, and he said that one can only truly know someone by asking their partner how they are like in terms of their akhlaq and their manners, their conduct on a day-to-day basis, and that really is the acid test for anyone. It's not what they are like outside, it's how they are with the person they spend the most time with. We then went to the Mazar of Sayyidina Abdul Qadir al-Jilani rahimahullah ta'ala, and the nasiha given was that striving is of paramount importance, and persistence often bears fruit. Hazrat Sahib then after that took me to Medina Sharif, and we gave Aslam to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we then recited Durood, and we then returned.
MashaAllah, those again some of them are very clear in terms of how to become persistent and so on. But regarding that taking day by day, this is also indication of the tick sheet, which is exactly this you do, that you monitor yourself, you hold yourself to account day by day. So you should look at it every day as not just in a negative way. Here it goes another day. You should actually check every day as positively. It's a fresh day, and I've got a whole new opportunity to do well. So each day is like a new, fresh challenge, a new opportunity. Yes, maybe you've done wrong in the previous day or the previous days or weeks. then you should look at every day. It's like it's like someone giving you a fresh piece of paper every day, and so you can write whatever you want. Don't worry about what's happened in the past. You can do tawbah and change that, inshallah. So if the person has that kind of mentality, then say, yes, every day I'm going to make best effort. Someone who's learning to write in a calligraphic way, in a very beautiful way. So every day a fresh piece of paper is given, okay, try again. But if he just thinks about, well, I did quite worse yesterday, or the day before was quite bad, and I can't do it, and then he doesn't make an effort, oh, what's the point? He just does whatever. Then he will not progress. But if you think, okay, then today's a fresh day, the teacher gave me a fresh piece of paper for me to try again. Let's try, maybe I can master it after a few, trying again and again. That's the whole concept of the tick sheet comes in. So tick sheet, obviously, you start with your tongue, eyes, ears, and so on. What does that mean? Because inevitably, when you come to your close ones and the family, is you'll be utilizing one of those organs to interact, to say something. So if you take that as a challenge every day, how you interact with your family, your friends, or the close ones, then the task becomes easy. Yes, you know what your weaknesses are, you know how to avoid the scenario or the situation that you've fallen in the previously, and make a first effort or first, you could say, a plan of action how to tackle this for this day and the next day and the next day. So it's like more like a positive challenge rather than taking it negatively. And other advice, mashallah, given is quite obvious as well, and it is true, like how a teacher was saying last week, if you remember, that really the reality we can know about ourselves is when we interact with people daily, not just once a week we meet and say, how are you, brother? I'm saying, yeah, I'm fine. How are you, brother? And that's it. Apparently you could look, you're quite pious and so on. So one example they gave is that in a situation where you find yourself, obviously we are involved as well, that you should still remain calm. So the emotion comes to you, or you get moved by certain actions of people, and the feeling comes. So what was the thing they said? That when this kind of externally or internally, the different feeling comes, what should you do or what should you not do? Anyone remember? From last Thursday, yes. So one example is saying about being a spiritually mature. One quality is that in a state of anger, he remains calm. And so one example they gave, like emotion comes. Someone said to me, and you get upset or angry. So what lesson they given was that you should stay in control of your emotions. The emotion should not control you as a person. So that, no matter what happens, you're in control. And then whatever you decide to do, if it's a child or a student, you want to admonish for him to learn a lesson, then you're doing it in a measured, controlled way. Not because you're angry, you're in lash out because release some of the emotions you have. You're doing it in such a way that he benefits, he learns, because as a father or as a teacher, that you have to show that, like you say, the jalali, the kind of like the stern side of it. So the one side of that is like where Majid is saying, is that part of that is you can test yourself. Acid test is like, how do you react when things happen? Like in the Nottingham Hadith was saying that some people say, oh no, I'm quite a nice person. Is that person brought the worst out of me? And they said that the fact that you had worse inside you in the first place, so the person has helped you to uncover something that was already hidden or you're in denial of. He just made it apparent, that's all. So inshallah, have that plan of action in terms of positively, that yes, if you notice some weaknesses you have, don't just think I have weakness, that's I'm going to run away from it. Have a plan and say how I'm going to tackle this, so that using the training of the tick sheets and the organs, then I can master that, or ask advice from the ustads how to tackle it as well, inshallah.
Shaban from Bolton. After I transferred, I met Hassab in Oldham Zawiya, and straight away we transferred to the Kaaba Sharif as it is now, and we were walking through the entrance, and we kept going through all the way till when we reached the Kaaba. And then Hazab, they sort of, with their hand, they made like a circle on the floor, and then they went through it, and I followed them. And when we were there, it's like we were engulfed around us was fire, and there was a person that was getting punished in there. He had like ropes of fire around him, and they were squeezing him around his neck till his eyes were popping out. And straight away I was stood, and at one point I thought I couldn't see Hassan, but then they were stood right next to me. And then straight away we transferred, and I sat in front of them. We were in the Mazar of Sayyidina Abdul Aziz Dabbar, and I could see them as clear as in reality. And then we transferred again, and this time I could see a person. This person was a good person. I could see the angels coming down, and they were wrapping him in sheets of nur and taking his spirit out, and I could see that they were taking him all the way through the heavens. And then again we transferred us. I came straight back to the Mazar of Sayyidina Abdul Aziz Dabbar, and I was sat in front of Hasab, and I could clearly see their face and the everything that they were wearing. And then again we transferred, but this time we transferred to the Day of Judgment, and I could see people scattered, and they were running about from each other. Family members were running from each other. It was chaos, and it was at the point when the sun was coming down, and there was just pure pain I could see. And then I saw them same people on the left of me. They were in rows, with shackles of fire, and their eyes were black. Their faces were black, and there was they'd been given the bad news that they were going towards hell, and they were on the way there. And then on the right of me, I could see people with nur on their faces, and I could see that in their right hand there was a book that was like a book. It was like a book of light. And then everything changed. I was on my own, and it was like I was getting at that point where a person was standing in front of Allah on their own, and it was quite a powerful. I could feel power that was in front of me. I've never felt like that. It was like extreme power. And then again I transferred back to Fez, Morocco with Hassab, and I was sat in front of them, and then we the position changed, and we were sat in front of the Mazar of Sayyidina Abdul Aziz, the Qabr Mubarak of Sayyidina Abdul Aziz Dabbar, and I could see the writing on the marble Qabr. And straight away after that I took the Durood Sharif. He started reciting Durood Sharif, and then yourself said, and then we transferred back took permission and asked forgiveness, transferred back.
MashaAllah, very detailed. So as an example where MashaAllah, but the Shaban is trying for a while, is that when someone is quite frequent or used to, and they practice and going through the path for a while, then as you hear on the 20 stages of realization, and sometimes the spirit, by the blessing of the Mashaykh, it could also become powerful as well. So then sometimes the ruh could be in 2 places at the same time, 3 places at the same time. That has the ability. So sometimes what happens is the seeker or the seer, the visionary, he would say that within the spiritual transfer I was transferred again. So it's like a ruh on the spirit is going in a different direction within that experience in itself, as you heard from what Brother Shaban was saying, and different scenes. And then things were like, for example, he saw, and the Mashaykh was very clear. So the reason I'm actually mentioning this itself is that you shouldn't actually compare yourself or think, oh, I've not done a good experience like that. It's for you to just understand that this whole path and the spirituality is a very, very vast and huge and never ending, and in the sense that one can never say, oh, I've done enough, I've traveled everything, I know everything. There's no, this world, this planet Earth is the smallest speck in the whole of the universe. And even to this day, human beings, generally speaking, are yet discovering things that we never discovered. With the advancement of science and technology, we think we knew everything about the world. Or even our own body, we're still discovering things we never discovered before. The science and the research are spending years, millions and millions, to discover more things, more understanding and so on. What to say about the whole universe, and that all the 7 heavens and 7 earths, and obviously, and then the knowledge and the hikmah and so on. So when the spirit is actually being more powerful and more practicing to the blessing of the Mashaykh as a support from them, that they can have that kind of a different layer of experience within one muraqabah as well. So alhamdulillah, but the Shabana, I remember about a few months ago when he actually sat here, I think at the time he was struggling with sitting down not properly and not focusing. But since then, I think he tried to make effort and so on. So as you can see, he's already trying as well and is benefiting himself. So it is an encouragement for the rest of us who are actually struggling, that he's also our brother. We eat and live together in the same town and so on. That if someone can also slowly progress along in the path, then I could be that as well. I don't have to stay in the same place where I am and thinking it's fine. But if you ask for the Shaban, maybe he sought advice from the ustad and so on, and maybe he worked on it along the way, and that's where he's benefited. And even he saw the day of judgment and the scenes and how dangerous and how horrific it would be. So the lesson here with the Shaban as well, that you should also then, with more motivation, get involved in dawah, obviously saving ourselves and the immediate family that you know. And also even the people who are not practicing, and even the non-Muslims, because the day of judgment will happen to everyone, and everyone will see the horrific scene and the nature and would suffer. So our aim should be not just stick to one group only or one member only, anyone and everyone, whoever accepts us, inshallah. We should continue to make that effort, inshallah, our own self and the public at large as well, inshallah. Okay, yeah. Just Gulfan, maybe one from the sisters, if you have access to that. There's one from the group of one sister sent, I just briefly mentioned, so that they also participate upstairs sometimes and online, and we do get an opportunity to hear from them. So this is one sister who related in the today's muraqabah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. After transfer, I meet the blessed teacher, Sheikh Ahmed Dabbagh. We were in Jannatul Baqi and walking towards the Green Dome. The scene changes and we transfer to the maqam of Sayyidina Abdul Aziz al-Dabbagh, rahimahullah. The blessed Mashaykh welcome, and we sit and take part in dhikr. During the dhikr, I transfer to the Masjid al-Aqsa. I see Prophet Isa alayhi salam coming towards me in form of light, but can see the white jubba that is worn. I see children clinging to Prophet Isa alayhi salam. I ask the teacher, Sheikh Ahmed Dabbagh, if I can visit Maryam alayhi salam. I am taken to a very old part of the masjid, and I see Maryam alayhi salam and fruits of all kinds around her. Maryam alayhi salam says to the nearest meaning, it is good that you are all doing, it is good what you are all doing. Telling the children our story, continue with the good work. Tell people to also visit the blessed sanctuary. After some time spent in Masjid al-Aqsa, I travel with the blessed teacher to Medina, and we are walking inside the masjid and sit on the red carpet looking towards the blessed teacher. So the person is saying that they are planning to do some work over the weekend as well, about learning about Isa alayhi salam. So the thing is that, alhamdulillah, it's a blessed experience. So one day here you can see that although they transferred and they went to Jannatul Baqi and Green Dome, when the scene changed and came back to Sayyidina Sheikh Abdul Aziz Dabbagh. So what does that tell us? The order and the visitation and paying homage and respect to the Mashaykh is very important, very key here. Although naturally the spirit has transferred to the Mashaykh, but then the adab is that they went back and met Sayyidina Sheikh Abdul Aziz Dabbagh. Then they came transferred back to the dhikr and so on, and then went to the Masjid Nabawi, Masjid Aqsa and so on. So alhamdulillah, one thing we advise to the sister, mashallah, that you utilize in this time of holidays, that inshallah do teach the real teaching of Islam in terms of the Prophet, the friend of Allah, Sayyidah Maryam radiallahu anhu, and Sayyidina Isa alayhi salam, and the true teaching as well, and draw lessons from it. That as a Muslim, that what we believe, what is the correct understanding, number one, and then number two, what lessons do we learn from it as well, so that they can also take away and benefit in terms of the special qualities which Sayyidah Maryam radiallahu anha, she had about selflessness, about loyalty to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, about keeping pure and chaste, especially if you're single, to the young ladies, as well as the young boys as well. They should learn about the qualities of Sayyidina Isa alayhi salam, how he was pure, how he was a selfless character of serving and helping the his ummah at the time, and so on. And really, they're the prophets of Allah and final Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who culminated and is like a crown of all the prophets and anbiyas as well, inshallah. Jazakallah, inshallah. One more before you conclude, inshallah.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Your brother Muhammad from Morocco, Fez. The moment I started cleansing the Lataif, the teacher was already there. This has become in fact a habit, because in the beginning I was struggling with the colors and with the light coming, and then I was struggling where to direct it. So at a certain point, I was advised to think of the teacher. So from that time, in fact, the teacher is there right from the beginning, and then all that I do, in fact, is just I breathe. I just breathe, and it is the teacher. I leave it to the teacher to change the colors, to direct the light where it should go, and everything, in fact. So the teacher was there even before the transfer. And when it comes to the transfer itself, again, I right from day one when I started doing in fact this practice, if the teacher is not there, I can't possibly transfer, because for me it is as if I'm going to jump into nothingness and jump into the void. So I wait till the teacher is there, and automatically the teacher is there, because in fact even from the cleansing of the and then I kissed their hands and their feet and asked to be taken to the Prophet, peace be upon him. And we went to the Sayyidina Abdul Aziz Dabbagh. I did the same with them, and I asked the same thing. And then at a certain point in my life, I used to go with Sayyidina Abdul Aziz Dabbagh, and then from Sayyidina Abdul Aziz Dabbagh to Sayyidina Abdul Qadir al-Jilani, and then to the in front of the blessed green dome. But at a certain time, I started seeing certain figures there, right in the blessed graveyard. So I
in Fez.
Yes. So now I go straight away to the mashayikh I usually visit every single time, Sayyidina Mulay Idris, Sayyidina Ahmed Tijani, and then Imam Jazuli, and so many other mashayikh, Sayyidina Abu al-Hasan al-Shadili, and Sayyidina Mulay Abd Salam al-Mshish, and now Sayyidina al-Hussein and Sayyidina Ali Karamallahu Wajhah. and Sayyidina Sulaiman alayhi salam. And then from there to the in front of the blessed green dome, and the spiritual shower I did it with the Burda Sharif on the instruction of our blessed teacher. This same morning I asked this question, and they said you do it with Burda Sharif, which today was the first time I did it in that way. And then I sat in front of the green dome with the teacher, reciting اللهم يا ربي بجاه سيدنا محمد بن عبد الله صلى الله عليه وسلم اجمع بيني وبين سيدنا محمد بن عبد الله في الدنيا قبل الآخرة. At a certain point, the teacher did, in fact, go towards the door. I followed, and then I started reciting the very same thing. Every 2-3 times, then we go to the next stage until we went downstairs, and then all of a sudden complete silence, and I started doing the Dalail Khairat. Alhamdulillah, I did the first chapter of Dalail Khairat all in my heart, and I'm extremely happy, in fact, because for me, these things as they are, for me, is a big and great achievement. Thank you.
MashaAllah, it's very detailed and very clear experiences. And like you yourself, you have mentioned that the kind of the experiences and the practices that in itself went through a transition or a transfer, as you were before and now, and there's no question of like when you hear sometimes is a thought, is imagination, because then after a while, because the key thing what you mentioned is this, and I tell other brothers as well, that we shouldn't really worry that is it just a thought level or imagination level. As long as we find the teacher and we're traveling wherever, then that's the key thing. And then physically, in a living sense, that you can always update and report to them. And based on what they say, you just carry on. So the job and the task is made even more easier. So even this one principle, if you apply and try again, then the rest is easy. And now you're saying that, alhamdulillah, you're journeying and seeing, and it's as though you were there physically, you felt the presence and the peace and the serenity and the calmness in the blessed hujurat of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. MashaAllah. Jazakallah for your company and for your feedback as well. And for everyone, all the brothers and sisters who gave feedback and contributed and helped us to actually motivate ourselves, increase our yaqeen, and then inshallah carry on with the task of following the Quran and the hukum and ahkam and the sunnah as best as possible, and also to forgive the sins and the mistakes which we done to ourselves and to the people around us as well. And so inshallah we finish with this. Subhanaka wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.